Their long overdue inclusion into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has finally arrived. On this week's Tier List Tuesday, classic rock staples, Foreigner. Formed in 1976 by English guitarist Mick Jones of Spooky Tooth, Ian MacDonald, one of the founders of King Crimson, and American vocalist Lou Grammatico, soon to be known as Lou Gramm of the band Black Sheep, along with veteran musicians Dennis Elliott, Al Greenwood, and Ed Gagliardi, the hard rockin', soft rockin', classic rockin', yacht rockin' legends. Nobody said yacht rock back then, by the way. Foreigner have sold over 80 million records worldwide and continue to tour and release music. So let's talk about these guys chronologically with a little tier list action. What do you say? The first album was 1977's Foreigner. It reached number 4 on the Billboard 200. It has since gone on to be certified 5 times platinum in the United States. Feels like the first time and Cold as Ice. Very recognizable songs, but the album also features some of the best deep cuts in the band's catalog, like Long Long Way From Home, Star Rider, Fool For You Anyway. This is Asia before Asia. You take some guys that had been in other bands, put them all together, create a sort of hooky, sort of rocky, slightly proggy, just ever so slightly proggy influenced band, and this is the first Foreigner album, just like Asia would do 5 years later. And I think to just simply say everything about this album works is kind of an understatement. This album's a classic, a solid listen from beginning to end. 1978's Double Vision peaked at number 3. It also produced a couple of the band's biggest hits, Hot Blooded and Double Vision. Blue Morning Blue Day was also on this album. Certified 7 times platinum in the US, along with their Best of Collection records, officially the band's 2 biggest selling albums. Overall, this album rocks a bit harder than their debut. Tramontane is the only instrumental the band has ever put on an album, but when you listen to it, if you listen to that instrumental, it seems like it should have lyrics. You ever notice how some instrumentals, you just get them in their head and you sort of hum along with them like they're words? It's a short album, 37 minutes long. It's a good album. It's not as good. It's not as well balanced. I'm going to put it on my good tier. It's still a good album. If you like this band, it's worth listening to this album if you've never listened to it before. Or if you're a collector, it might be one you might want to add to your physical media collection. 1979 saw the release of Head Games, which reached number 5 on the album chart. It's 3 top 10 albums in a row, 3 top 5 albums actually in a row. The hit songs were Dirty White Boy. Head Games was on this album. It has since been certified 5 times platinum. At the time that it came out, some people felt like this band has really sort of figured out what their sound is. Another way that some people looked at that is, this is maybe a little too polished, maybe a little too radio friendly. That was kind of the vibe about Head Games. Love on the Telephone gives me Cold as Ice vibes. The beginning, it gets off to a great start. Women kind of sounds like it's trying to be a George Thorogood song, which I don't know if that works so well. Maybe a Bob Seger song. You got to give them credit for, sort of drifting out of their lane a little bit and trying to live outside their lane a little bit. I can't really say I think it works all that well. I think this is the first, if I had a tier somewhere between okay and good, I'd probably put it there. I think this album is their first okay album. It's not bad. It's just okay. So the thing about the girl in the bathroom, she's in the bathroom. Guys have written some stuff about her on the bathroom walls of the stalls. And if you were a kid, I don't know if boys still do that or not, but back in the 70s, that's something, for a good time call. So she was trying to get rid of that. And of course, whoever is taking the picture has caught the girl. The girl on the album cover, by the way, her name is Lisa Faulkner, and she played Heather McNamara in the movie Heathers with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. She was one of the Heathers. So now it's 1981. The band releases their 4th album, 4. There are now only 4 original members left in the band. This was, a lot of people would say this is their best album. It made it to number 1. It topped the Billboard album chart, making it the most successful album in the band's catalog in that regard. Urgent was on here. Jukebox Hero was on here. It has since become 6 times platinum in the United States. It sold well internationally. It was critically well received. It contained the single. It contained what some people would argue as their biggest hit, Waiting for a Girl Like You, which still holds the distinction of spending something like 8 or 9 weeks at number 2 on the top 40 chart without ever hitting number 1. It's considered an infamous chart record. Thomas Dolby played the iconic synthesizer line on that song. Foreigner 4, everything works on this album. It's a little calculated. You know, they're definitely trying to make it catchy here, but it works. I'm not going to say it's a no-skips album, but if you like this band and you maybe only just ever heard some songs on the radio, or you just have one or two of the best of collections, Foreigner 4 should be in your library. 1982 saw the release of Records, which at that time was a best of, their first best of compilation. It went top 10, which is pretty good for a best of album. All the big hits from the first 4 albums. It has since been certified 7 times platinum. If you are someone who just has a casual interest in the band and you just want to have some hits, this is a good title to get. It would not be the one I'd recommend, though. Most of the versions of the songs on this album are the single versions, the versions released on the 45s, the versions, the radio hits. Plus, I Want to Know What Love Is was not released at that time. So I'm going to put it on the okay tier. It's not a bad album to buy. Man, it's actually one of the reasons I joined Columbia House Record Tape Club in 1982. 1984, it's Agent Provocateur. This album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200. I Want to Know What Love Is was it is arguably their biggest hit. It went to number 1 on a lot of charts worldwide. The album has since gone on to be certified 3 times platinum, which is not as good as all of the previous studio albums up to that point. Matter of fact, a lot of people believe that all of the other songs on this album were overshadowed by how big of a hit that song was. As soon as Tooth and Nail kicks in, you know you're listening to a mid-'80s album. The version of That Was Yesterday that's on the album is about half as long as the longer version. You can track that down somewhere out there. The first time I heard Down on Love, I thought that was a pretty good song, but somehow I don't think that's aged very well. Maybe I was just in the mood to hear that song. I think it was just an okay album. 1987 now, Inside Information. This album did not make the top 10. It did go platinum. This album is just simply very, very polished. There's not much edge on this. Heart Turns to Stone, I think, was a promising beginning to the album. Say You Will is annoyingly catchy. It was one of their last bigger hits. I Don't Want to Live Without You. It was, okay, let's see if we can make another ballad go big. Do they still play that song at Codependence Anonymous meetings? I'm mean, aren't I? This album, it sounds like everything is trying to be a hit instead of trying to be a good rock song. I'm not going to say, ooh, boy, I've put all these other albums on the okay tier. Honestly, you can take a pass on this album. 1991, Unusual Heat. Johnny Edwards replaces Lou Gramm. This, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase here. This is the low point in the band's career. It didn't even make the top 100 in the album chart. Very little radio play. Critics hated it. And if you listen to it, it's not really hard to figure it out. This album plays it really, really safe. You could exchange the songs on this album with the songs on albums of that time by Giant, Henry Lee Summer, what Bad Company was doing in the late 80s, early 90s. And the song, you wouldn't be able to tell one from the other. Unusual Heat is just, if you want to say you have every Foreigner album, then you need to have Unusual Heat. Otherwise, you totally can skip it. 1992, The Very Best and Beyond. Now, this is a better best of collection than Records. The versions of the tracks that they used were the album versions. This sold pretty well. There are 3 new songs on the album. With Heaven on Our Side is a pretty good Lou Gramm-led kind of ballad. They totally skipped Unusual Heat. It's like it never happened. This, in my opinion, is the best of Foreigner collection to have. We've still got a lot of other ones to cover. Lou Gramm rejoins the band in 1994 for Mr. Moonlight. And it's actually a pretty decent album, and nobody cared. This album also failed to reach the top 100 on the album chart. Under the Gun is a really good opener. It has that classic Foreigner sound to it. As soon as it kicks in, you're like, okay. Real World kind of gives me sort of the Damage Is Done meets Love Bites kind of vibes. It's a pretty good sort of slow mid-tempo rocker. There are good songs on this. There are several good songs on this, mixed with a lot of okay songs on this. The problem with this album is not the album itself. It's that it was released at a time when rock music was all about Soundgarden and Candlebox and, of course, Pearl Jam. it was nonetheless an okay album. It's not a bad album. If you've never heard it and you really like that classic Foreigner sound when Lou Gramm was in the lineup, check it out. At the very least, stream it. In 2002, there were two different greatest hits collections. Complete Greatest Hits was released in North America, and the definitive was released everywhere else, basically. Both were comprehensive, both spanning the band's career up to that point. The playlists were updated. There were some songs not included on earlier compilations. If you are a completist, you have to get this, I do believe. Especially, I would recommend you track down the European version. There's a previously unreleased live version of Urgent. I think there's another newer unreleased song that doesn't appear on the American version. I am nonetheless going to put both of these albums in the For Completists collection. In 2009, this is the last studio album, the last album of new music from Foreigner. Can't Slow Down, released in 2009. It peaked at number 29 on the album chart, and it was the first studio album in 15 years. The first with new singer Kelly Hansen, who does a pretty solid Lou Gramm impersonation. As far as the non-Lou Gramm Foreigner albums, this is at least a competent effort to sound like a Foreigner album. There's also, strangely enough, a bluesier version of Full For You Anyway on this. Man, am I wishing I'd put an extra couple of tears in here. Because I don't really want to say no, but I don't really want to put it above Inside Information. I'm going to put it on the no tier. I can't put this album down here. Now, there's a couple of more best of collections, both of which are decent. Like I said, the very best and beyond is really the only one that you really need. By the way, the definitive collection is a different collection than the definitive, by the way, just in case. I'm not sure why you would do that exactly. In 2017, the Foreigner compilation 40 was released. It was to celebrate the band's 40th anniversary with a very comprehensive collection. There are remastered versions of a lot of the tracks. There are some new recordings. It is extensive. It covers the band's entire career. This is one of those best of collections that was affordably priced, and if you were part of that newer generation of people that was discovering classic rock because of radio stations that were Bob or Jack or Spotify playlists, or you were checking them out, or you'd become aware of what was being referred to as dad rock, and so Foreigner was new to you, this was a pretty good compilation to have. It introduced a lot of people to the band. It's an okay collection. Most of the best stuff is on the first disc. The second disc just says, hey, we feel good about what we're doing. We're not going to quit. We're just going to keep on going. It's not a bad compilation. It's not a great compilation. And 2024, Turning Back the Time, a Rhino Records collection featuring the previously unreleased 1995 track, Turning Back the Time. Mick Jones and Lou Gramm are on this track, and it's not a bad Foreigner song. I mean, but it's a pretty decent song. I'm not going to put it in the no collection. You know what? If the last best of collection is okay, then this one is also okay. And this compilation coincides with the band's 2024 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Their long overdue induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that is Foreigner ranked on Tier List Tuesday. So I'm going to give you a couple other Tier List Tuesday episodes that you can check out. If you want to go more classic, Led Zeppelin's up here. If you want to go a little bit newer, Green Day is also up here. So let's go. Tier on.